Look who's the boss. How did it take people so long to realize that I'm a freaking genius? I know what you're thinking. How? Answer: NetSuite. It's so much better than your basic accounting software. NetSuite covers everything. Plus, it's all in one place, right at my fingertips. Go to netsuite.com for a free product tour.
Joining me now is Kentucky Senator Rand Paul. Senator, great to see you tonight. I think that more than past elections, this one really is about common sense and the left's utter rejection of it. Do you agree?
Yeah, and the thing is there's an enormous disconnect between those in Washington and those on the ground. Like in Kentucky, we lost 40 people to severe flooding recently in eastern Kentucky. Hundreds of homes were lost, and I was just out there. Not one person said, can you please send more money to Ukraine? They said, how come we're a rich country and we're having trouble digging our ditches, repairing our roads, and all of the basic functions of government, and yet the politicians in Washington want to send another $13 billion. After they send this $13 billion, we'll have sent over $50 billion to Ukraine. And people in eastern Kentucky are saying, how come we can't repair our bridges? How come we can't repair our roads? And so I find nobody in Kentucky coming up and say, please send more of our money overseas. And yet in Washington, it's not just Democrats. You got Democrats and all the Republican leadership lining up and saying, please send more of our money to Ukraine. But I'm not hearing it at home at all.
Now, you talk about that disconnect, Senator, and today President Biden unveiled one of his new so-called accomplishments.
Made in America is no longer just a slogan. Earlier this year, I went to Lockheed's factory in Alabama. They're making the Javelin missile that we're supplying to Ukraine.
Senator, how does the production of Javelin missiles for Ukraine help Americans? I guess except the Americans at the factory, I guess.
Yeah, I've never really been big on looking at arms programs as jobs programs. I think that our weapons are uniquely owned by the taxpayer, even if private organizations make these. And when they shouldn't be something that's like, oh, well, let's give more weapons to create jobs by, getting involved in more wars overseas. No, we don't really have the money to do this. We're $30 trillion in the hole, and it's inflationary. You borrow more money to buy weapons, it also causes inflation. And so really what I hear still around Kentucky and around the U.S. is my gas costs so much we can't go on vacation this year. The groceries cost so much. I'm a senior citizen. My check is getting thinner and thinner. I can't afford to do the things I want to do because of inflation. And they all instinctively know this is from the massive debts, the massive borrowing, and the huge COVID lockdowns and all the mistakes that were foisted upon us by Democrats, by Biden, by the Democrat Congress. And so I think there's a huge wave building. I really still think there's a huge wave building
I do too.
Of discontent, and people are going to want to throw the bums out who have caused all this inflation.
Yeah, and everything's tightening. You see that with the Blake Masters race, 2 points or 3 points, the new Emerson poll, Fetterman in Pennsylvania. And you've got your own race in Tennessee, Senator, but you've got a healthy lead. I know you're not taking anything for granted. I'm in Kentucky, excuse me. I don't know why I said Tennessee. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I don't know what my lead is
Connecticut
like in
Yankee
Tennessee,
at heart.
but my lead in Kentucky.
I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
We are fighting hard in Kentucky, and things are narrowing across the U.S., but we're fighting hard here. And if people want to go to randpaul.com, they can find out more about our race. But we're fighting hard to let people know that I'm a different kind of Republican. I'm a kind of Republican that doesn't fly around the world at taxpayer expense. I'm a kind of Republican who also says, you know what, I'm going to give money back to the Treasury from my office. I'm not going to spend all the money they give me. I'm going to give back. So my office has actually given back over $5 million to the Treasury.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I'm going to tweet out your new ad, Senator, which I just saw, which is fantastic. I don't know who made that ad for you, but now everybody's going to be curious, so they're going to have to go to my Twitter to see it. Senator, fantastic to see you. Haven't seen you in a while, so thank you.